My name is King Cancel, introduce you to my channel. Burn bright just like a candle by that picture on your mantle. I can spit just like a camel and I'm harder than enamel. You know I'm bougie with my coffee in my truck, I wear a flannel. 10 toes down, nigga, that's a panel. I done do a lot of shit, like what? Check my sandal. Get them lights up to the ceiling, man. Get them up, get them up, get them up. Subscribe to my channel, man. If you think my intro's up.
We hope you enjoy the next presentation.
Today we're going to be responding to Reddit questions. Welcome to the King Cancel Project. It's your boy, King Cancel. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, punch that alert bell. That way, when I get on, you know. When something new pops up, you know you're there. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have my playlist playing in the background because it's kind of a long question, so don't mind the music. Let's get it. All right, this says, I'm a 19-year-old female. I'm really considering joining the Army and have been doing a lot of research to see if it's something that I'm interested in. Most of what I see is vague descriptions of people's time in the Army. I think it would be good for me in a lot of ways, but I don't want to be uninformed and get myself into something I'll regret. Then she put an edit, says, feel like I should mention I'm a sophomore at a community college right now. It's going well, but I don't love college and want something else and experience different things. Okay, so the good news is you're 19 years old right now, right? Which means you got a lot of time. You got a lot of time ahead of you. But it's good you're thinking about your future like that. So you're in your second year of college already, and you're realizing that it's not for you. I was the same exact way. Went to college 1 year. It was rough. I just wasn't ready for it. I wasn't mature enough for it. I didn't have the habits for it. I was wild. I was just partying. Like there was too much stuff going on where I was at. So I can relate to it. And that's why I was looking at the military as well. Now, when it comes to the military, there's a lot of vague descriptions of people's time in the Army because everybody's career is going to vary. Everybody's going to have a different experience. Some people you talk to, most of the people that civilians talk to about the military were actually like subpar soldiers or airmen or Navy, or because they're so vocal with their opinion. Just like when you go to Amazon and it has 4,000 reviews, all those negative ones you see, people are quicker to write a negative review than they are a positive review. Because if the item works as it was intended, you tend to not, go back to it. You're just like, that's what you expect. But if it's not, or you're getting ripped off, or the item comes broke, you're gonna write that bad review. So always consider the source. You could be talking to somebody who went halfway through basic and quit, and they're talking about how, everybody there was baby killers and, trying to make the military look bad. People do that just to feel better about themselves. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Again, thank you for coming. And the reason I started this podcast is because sometimes, after a long week, people just want to escape. They want to turn their mind off. And this is just another avenue to give y'all a chance to do that. I know I like to watch mindless things when I get off. But back to the question. I think it could be good for me in a lot of ways, but I don't want to be uninformed and get myself into something you regret. Listen, whether you regret something or not is up to you. I don't really like to look at them as regrets. I like to look at them as learning opportunities. It's either something that I want to continue doing, or it's something I want to improve on, or it's something that I want to stop. The military can benefit you in a lot of ways. First way, it's a steady paycheck. You're in college. I know you're not making as much as you would make in the military while you're in college, unless you got like an OnlyFans or some shit like that. You also said college is going well, but you don't love it. Depending on what you want to do with your life, you may not love the military. But the good thing about the military is there's tons of jobs in the Army, and not all of them even deploy. Some of them are great when you deploy. Some of them deploy to really nice places. If you've seen some of the hotels that I've stayed in on TDY for some of my deployments, you'd be like, holy shit, this is awesome. Another way you can benefit from it, VA loan. I got a VA loan at 2.5%. I put 0 down for my house. That's pretty incredible. Especially, they say with minorities, the greatest contributor to the economic gap, to the racial economic gap since slavery is the VA loan. The more VA loans we have, the more that gap closes, because you're getting property, you're getting land. Like I said, zero money down, but you have to do your first term, your first 3 years. And then once you pay off that VA loan, you can get another VA loan. Once you pay off that VA loan, you can get another VA loan. You can also be a member of USA Bank once you're in the military. They pay for your college. If you're racking up college debt, they'll pay for that. There's programs like military loan forgiveness. You get that steady paycheck every 2 weeks from the time I got in to the time I got out. So I did 14 years. The time I got in, the time I got out, I got paid twice a month, on the 1st and the 15th. And because I was USAA, I got paid the day before the 1st and the day before the 15th for 14 straight years. Not a lot of people can say that. And it's just that consistency. They can't fire you. Well, they can fire you, but it takes a long time, man. It takes a long time, and it's hard. So, yeah, you're going to get that steady paycheck. Your dental. People don't realize how expensive dental is. They'll be paying for your dental. They'll be paying for your medical. They'll be paying for all your moves. Every duty station you go to, typically if you're enlisted, you move every 3 years to a different base. So they'll pay for that move every 3 years. You get BAH. Once you live off post, which is usually if you're a non-commissioned officer or like E4 or above, will live off post and not on barracks. Barracks are like dormitories. It's on base. In the barracks, soldiers stay there. 2 to a room, might be 1 to a room, and some dividers, a closet, a bathroom maybe. If it's really nice, it'll have like an oven or a microwave, dishwasher, that kind of stuff. But once you hit that non-commissioned officer, you'll be able to move off post, or you could file a statement of non-availability, which says there's not sufficient room in the barracks. Basically, can I go off post and live off post? I did that. And yeah, you can do that if you're a private as well. They just have to sign off on it. When you live off post, you get BAH, which is your basic housing allowance. I think my BAH in most places was anywhere from $1,500 a month to $2,700 a month. So you're getting that, and so that just paid off your rent. Then your medical's paid off. Then your dental's paid off. Your future college is paid off. If you don't want to use that college, you can pass it on to another relative. You can pass it on to your spouse. You can pass it on to your daughter, your son. Life insurance, you have a $400,000 SGLI life insurance policy. I mentioned they pay for all your dental. I'm talking about all that shit. That's expensive. A lot of people don't go to the doctor regularly before they join the military. And when they join, it's like one of the first times that they actually go to a doctor consistently. Like you hear a lot of people talking about the military like, oh, you don't know what they're putting in your body. You don't know what they're putting in your body. I've had more blood tests, more blood work done than any civilian. Guaranteed. Because it's like mandatory. Like you have to go through a cycle. It's like you're red on medical, then they'll give you a notice, and then you have to go to medical, and you might have to get blood work done, or you might have to, get tests just to check up on you, see how you're doing, get your eye exams, you get your glasses, you get free glasses like twice a year or something like that. So is it beneficial? Are you getting all that stuff now in your current life or what? Because when I got out of the military, you've realized how much the military actually does for you. It is insane, and it's not that bad. Honestly, I had fun. I loved it. Yeah, and you want to try something else and experience different things? I experienced a lot of different things. This is what the military did for me. I'm going to tell you. Check this. This is what the military did for me. The military allowed me to travel. I think I got a discount. You get a discount on your passport. You get your passport expedited. It's easier to go through the channels of getting a security clearance. I had my TS. I had my top security clearance while I was in the military. I learned the language. I learned the language of Tagalog, and also got paid extra $150 or extra $200 a month because I knew that language. You test out once a year, and you have the ability to get more money the higher you score. So how many people can go get dropped in another country and speak the language? Not many, right? How many of us Americans even know another language? We're like one of the only countries who don't do that, but you can do that easily in the military. If you take the ASVAB test, that'll show you what jobs, depending on how high you score, the job or a MOS, which is a military occupation specialty. Different jobs have different duty stations. Depending on what job you pick, that'll what duty stations you're available for. This is why people are so vague when they talk about the military, because it really depends. An electrician is going to go to different places than probably a combat engineer, or an SF cat. It's going to go different places than a laundry specialist. Yes, they have laundry specialists. Not all jobs. Okay, if you're not in the military, if you're not in the Army, before I was in the Army, I thought the whole Army was like Black Hawk Down or like Band of Brothers. It's not like that. I was in combat arms, and that was like 1 to 10% of my entire career was actual combat. So little of it was actually the exciting stuff that, you join for. A lot of the rest of it's like admin, or you're doing like some kind of duty, like a chore, or pulling security on something, or doing a random detail at the chow hall, like head count or something like that. Or you could be doing your regular job, like a regular admin job, like they have finance personnel. They deploy, but they're not going outside the wire. They're not conducting combat operations, none of that. They're doing finance. They might be at like one of the bigger bases that we had established, like back in Afghanistan, or, like Iraq or something. They'll stay at the big safe bases. They're not going out to these COPs, which is your combat outposts or operation posts, something like that. They're like little bases outside a big base. Like, unless you're like a combat MOS, you're not doing that, or some type of security force, right? Another benefit to joining the military, you'll be fit. You know what I'm saying? You'll have no choice to be fit. Even if you don't look fit, you'll be fit. As long as you're exercising every day like you're supposed to. I know it's gotten a little softer now, but overall you'll be in better shape. Another thing is the relationships, the friendships you build. Like when I went to Georgia Southern, I'm still friends with a lot of those people, but the military bonds you form are so much deeper, so much stronger, because you go through like so much shit. You go through the suck together. So like sometimes things just get so silly that all you can do is laugh. You can't quit, you can't get fired. So those stresses are gone, but there's suck. And if everybody's going through it at the same time, it bonds you, like you're trauma bonded for like life. So you know how somebody's gonna be there for you at a difficult time before you even like develop that friendship, when normally it's the other way. I don't know about y'all, but I usually have to go through something deep with somebody before I like really trust them or really consider them a good friend. And I have tons and tons of those bonds. And I even noticed when I got out, it's harder to make those bonds, because you really don't go through things with people. Like everybody kind of just does their own thing. Traveling, I went to so many countries on the military's dime. And like I said, it just depends on your job. When I was infantry, I just went to Afghanistan. I was stationed in Italy for 7 years. So I did my traveling, off duty all around Europe. I went to Italy, Germany, Austria, Czech Republic, Australia, Sri Lanka. I was deployed to Japan in Okinawa. So I was traveling out there, just bouncing out. Went to Bangladesh, Papua New Guinea, I don't know if I said that already. Hawaii, so many places on the military's dime. And then they're paying for your meals. They're paying for your hotel. They're paying for your rent-a-car. All that shit. Like, is your college doing that for you? Let me know. Because the military did all that for me. And it is great. And then when you get out, I had to get medically retired due to combat trauma, right? So I can no longer be in the infantry or civil affairs and special operations. That's what I signed up to do. I signed contracts to do those. So if you have to get out, the military compensates you for not being able to do that job. Like I cannot do that job anymore because of, my PTSD, because of my trauma. So the military is compensating me for that. Not only that, when you get out, they run all these tests on you, and see what's wrong with you, see what hasn't improved. Like they test your range of motion for your back, your legs, your knees. You do tests if you have any mental disabilities and any mental diagnosis. They'll test you for that. As long as you've been treated for it while you were in the military, which is free, and you are diagnosed with something, you will be paid on the back end when you get out. As long as you fulfill one of your contracts, which could be as short as like 3 years. I don't know if they have shorter contracts than that now, but yeah, I was pretty fortunate with my career. I would say I traveled way more than most, but there's other things like if you're stationed at a duty station that has a unit with good funding, trained in a lot of places, man. They have single soldiers retreats that you can go on. Like if you're a single soldier, they'll pay for you to go on a trip somewhere nice, fancy, exciting, in hopes that you'll go out, mingle, have fun, have a good time. And all you got to do is take like a couple classes at lunchtime or something, and then which they pay for the meals too if you're there. And they also have married soldiers, like couples retreats in Germany in the mountains. They might take you up there, or they take you to like Busch Gardens, Six Flags over Georgia, and pay for all that. Like there's a lot of things out there in the military. You just have to take advantage of it. A lot of people that say it sucks, all they did was work and then stay in their barracks room and play video games or watch TV or whatever the fuck. They didn't get out and take advantage of all the things that were available to them. Like say you're stationed in California, right? And somebody in your family passes, or there's an emergency back home in Georgia. You can contact the American Red Cross and they'll pay for you to have a ticket home. You can get leave, request leave. They'll pay for your ticket home, fly you, and then, you do what you got to do it back home and then come back. I had to do that like 4 times in my military career, and it was like a godsend, especially if you just joined and you don't have that much money, then you get to do that. Also, time off. We have so many 3 days, 4 days in the military. It is like crazy how much you actually do not work. Like you work hard when you work, but guaranteed, because we worked so hard, we played a lot harder. I'm glad I did it. And the people that aren't or probably don't, because they were one of the fortunate few that suffer a lot of trauma, but also it sets you up in the future. Like it's statistically proven that if you go into the military and when you get out, you're in a better off shape than somebody from your hometown who didn't. Most successful business owners end up having some form of military experience. Also, if you were in the military, becoming a business owner is also easier when you're out. Getting loans while you're in the military, extremely easy. Why? Because you are guaranteed to have those paychecks for the rest of your contract. So getting loans is like cake. Yeah, it's easier to pay off your debt. You can plan out because you're getting a consistent amount. I know a lot of people that work, but their hours aren't consistent. I know a lot of people that work, but their pay isn't consistent. They're worried about those things. Yes, you may go off and train for like close to a month, but that's great, man, because you don't have to see people too often unless they're like in your platoon. And it keeps like relationships fresh. Like you come in, you're together, you're gonna miss each other, so there's that whole romance type thing. And then you leave, you get a chance to miss each other, anticipate each other coming back. You get to come back and do it all over again, because being around somebody so much all the time, it just gets old. So you're getting that variety, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's totally worth it. The negatives that everybody hears about basic training, that shit was over in a flash. My attitude now is I can do anything for X amount of time because I've done it. No other time in my life have I been tested day after day after day after day after day after day, because you're always learning something new, then being evaluated on it, tested on it. They show you, you repeat it in a class, then you get evaluated on it. That doesn't happen in a lot of places. I know it happens in like welding. You have to get like your certifications and things like that. And, law, if you're doing law, you have to get like recertified. They have a bunch of tests they have to take, things like that. But in basic training, it is literally like that every day. So you're getting a task, and then you're having to study for that task. Then you're having to perform in front of people. So you get used to doing that because you're doing it every single day. And with every single day, your confidence is just improving. And anybody's would do it. Like, it's crazy. My soldiers, how I would see them come in, and just the change from like 1 year to the next and how much they've grown. Because you're a kid before you come in. You're a kid. You don't know anything about the world. It's like being in an RPG, a video game. Once your world starts expanding, once you go new places, you're unlocking different worlds, different levels of things that you never knew existed. So now you have a broader spectrum of what life really is. When you're a child, the earth is only what you're directly seeing and experiencing at that time. That's your world. Then you get older and you start realizing like, oh, I could go to different places in the house. You start remembering where your stuff is. Then you get older and you're like, oh shit, there's outside. There's other people, other families. Then you go to school. You're like, oh shit, there's other kids. Your world's constantly expanding to different things. So imagine being tested day in, day out, just having your world expanded every single day. That's why people that are in the military can spot other people in the military, because they have that constant air. Even the failures in the military are actually successes compared to the common person. Like, a lot of you people that are currently in the military forget you're a very small percentage of the society who not only qualify to be in the military, but be in the military and excel in the military. Like, you forget how much you actually had to go through to get to where you're at. And I think a lot of people, like mostly the failures of the military, the washouts, are the ones who come out and spread disinformation on how bad this shit is. Because it's improved so many people's lives, so many people's families' lives. Like, forget my PTSD, it's improved my family's life for the better. If I was doing something else, I don't know what I would be doing. But yeah, that's my little spiel. That's my little rant. I'm spending so much time prepping for this test, that test, this gate, that gate, because you study for PT tests too now. So you're preparing. You're constantly getting reps at making a goal and achieving a goal. And that's something that if people never played sports, they've never gotten that. If they weren't in the military, they haven't gotten that. Like, if they haven't had a job with a boss that cared enough to actually mentor them in a proper manner, they haven't gotten that. So before I came out of the military, I'm like, all right, let's try it. Let's give this college thing a knock again. And it was so much easier because now I have the tools to do that. Because in high school, I didn't really have to, study like that. You just had to show up, had a lot of practice, public speaking, teaching classes. You'll have leadership, and then you'll not know how to do something, and then they'll say, show me how to do this. Like, I don't know how to do this. Then they'll be like, all right, tomorrow you're gonna teach the platoon a class on it. Figure it out. It's like a project. Then you come back and you got to teach these people. And the culture's funny because we make fun of each other. We have a good time, usually, unless you got some douchebag in charge of you. But the good part about that is, if somebody's a douchebag, guess what? They just go to another duty station in a couple of years. Like, they're gone. Like, you might have to deal with somebody, but then they're gone. Poof, into thin air. Civilian sector, you want to work at the same place for 10 years. You're dealing with the same people for 10 years. So it's what you make of it. Like I said, some people don't do any of the things I mentioned. They miss all their appointments. They don't take advantage before they get out and get all their grill fixed. They don't report anything at the hospital because they want to seem like hard ass, but not realizing, like, once you have that paperwork, when you get out, you can't really refute that paperwork. You don't have to fight for yourself as much. So if you are in now, just consider that. But yeah, if you got any more questions, feel free to ask, whether it's about the military, Army, whether it's about airborne infantry, civil affairs, with traveling, whatever y'all want to hear, we can talk about. Sometimes I just like to fly away. But don't forget to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, hit that alert bell. Can't Cancel Project. Thanks for tuning in. Love y'all. Keep rocking with me.